Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
It's been insane since the beginning. Actually, it's a kid's game. You took one of your word problems with leaking taps and tanks that fill up and empty, and you planned a murder from it. In real life, this kind of thing does not exist. Taps that you open while closing another, bathtubs that fill up, and swimming pools that empty. That's insane. And I was insane to listen to you, Nicole.
This is episode 143, recorded January 22nd, 2023.
You damn straight it is.
Gruesome Magazine.
I was not expecting that slant on the reading on the quote. But anyway, my name is Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly horror films released since the beginning of time through 1969. And even in each episode, we'll discuss the monster, spirit, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. Yeah. Decades of Horror, the classic era, is partnering with Play Now Media, and we are visible on several of their channels. You could catch us on the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, the Classic Horror Movie Channel, or the Wicked Horror TV Channel. Whenever I text Michael, I always call that the Weird Horror TV Channel, and he always says maybe that's one we should start. But anyway, and they've got a couple new ones going. I'm not sure what's up yet, but more will be coming soon. And Decades of Horror, 70s and 80s will be going up on their channels within the near future. Woo-hoo. So yeah, it's the channels are cool. I mean, they're available on all your different Android TV, Fire Stick, whatever. What's that?
The Apple TV.
Apple TV, yeah, anything, and website. You do it directly from the website. So, and it's kind of cool. Even without a subscription, you can watch movies with commercials. And if you do subscribe, then you get rid of the commercials and you get premium content as well. So, lots of cool, hard to find stuff.
They've got good stuff in there. I recently, I don't know if it's still on there, but recently I saw that they had Miss 45. Which,
I saw that too.
I remember you guys doing that, and you telling me how, I hadn't seen it, and you were like, "Well, it's kind of hard to get a," and I was so happy when I saw that it was on there.
I found it on some bizarre website I'd never heard of before, and I've never seen since. But it is now out there.
Yeah. So it was on Shudder for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So anyway, yeah. So some cool stuff. And after that,
sorry,
that's all right. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. First up is Whitney Collazo, an accomplished artist, makeup artist, and writer. Whitney is back from her sojourns, travels to parts unknown. How you doing, Whitney?
I'm good. How's everything?
It's been hell since you've been gone.
Yeah. Thank God you're back.
It's been hell.
Don't say that.
We had to have Dirk Rogers fill in.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Yeah, and he actually does a pretty good Peter Lorre impression.
He does.
Oh, so cool.
So, at any rate, good to have you back, Whitney.
It's good to see you guys.
Also with us is Chad Hunt, co-host of Decades of Horror, the 70s and 80s, film producer and director with Wreak Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer. Chad, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad I didn't have to say that mouthful of gibberish.
I'm good at gibbering, as you may have seen.
We know.
Also with us is Daphne, who's awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. Daphne, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing real good. Real good.
And you have no idea how happy I am that your lights are still up.
Me too.
Well, that makes me very happy. They'll probably be up for winter.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. On this podcast, we start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions of the movie, and then we'll move into a general discussion of kind of whatever trips our trigger. Our topic this episode is, I don't understand this. So, Diabolique, I-Q-U-E.
Diabolique.
It's not an English word. So why we would change the French title to a different French title, I don't know. But the original title, Les Diaboliques, from 1955, directed by Henri-Georges Clouzot, written by Clouzot, Jerome Geronimi, in collaboration with René Masson and Frédéric Grandel, from the novel by Boileau-Narcejac. And we'll talk about them a little bit later. Cast includes Vera Clouzot, Simone Signoret, Paul Maurice, and Charles Vanel.
Ah, the French.
The production company is Film Sonore and Vera Films. Filmed in France. And whenever I say that, I can always see the cone heads going, "We are from France," for some reason. I'm sorry. No offense to French people. I love you. Filming dates, August 18th to November 30th, 1954. Release date in France was January 29th, 1955, and released in the U.S. about 10 months later, November 21st, 1955. Box office. So what I found was there were 7.2 million admissions in France and Italy. Don't know what that translates to in dollars. $500,000 in theater rentals in the U.S., and Ultimate Movie Rankings translated that to about $1 million of domestic box office. It's also known as The Devils in the U.S. at the very beginning. And then, of course, the German title, Die Teuflischen, which means the devilish ones. It sounds like something your plumber fixes, but anyway. The synopsis is: the wife and mistress of a loathed school principal plan to murder him with what they believe is the perfect alibi. And this picture, I just used this one just because I like the construction of it. We see a shadow in the door and a stairway. We're kind of in a cellar, or I don't know. Anyway,
it's a good one.
It's a good one.
So, all righty. Grabbing the right utensil.
Look how steep those stairs are. Oh my God. I killed myself on those.
They had to be steep enough to let the large wicker basket.
Whisker
like
basket.
A whisker basket. Yeah.
That's a whole different podcast.
It is.
The whisker man.
The whisker basket. What's in the whisker basket?
So, I think. Stop it right now.
Can you say demonetized?
Yeah. All right. And now
you started it, Jeff.
I did. And now it's time for taglines with Chad.
Is that going to keep going, or
no? We have to do it 3 times.
I was hoping so.
It's a 3-note fanfare 3 times. That's
ADHD's kicking in.
It's the rule of 3s.
Do you turn the lights off 3 times before you leave the room and all that?
Shh.
All right. Okay. Taglines for Diabolique are as follows: see it, be amazed at it, but be quiet about it.
There's a reason for that, right?
Yeah, there's a twist ending. Oh, sorry. That brings us to the second tagline. Don't reveal the ending. Okay.
Don't.
Just don't. The great suspense film that shocked the world and became a classic because no one shared the ending.
So don't tell anybody.
Don't be quiet. You'll get smacked like that little kid did at the end of the film for lying.
Ooh.
Okay. Never has a cinematic work deserved its title more. Okay. All right. And the last one. It's a diabolical masterpiece.
Yeah. So this would be a good time. Well, once we do the outro, this will be, and that's been Taglines with Chad.
Okay.
3 times I told you. There's
I get
3
it.
yucks.
I get you now. You're off your meds. Okay.
Shh. I need help when I travel. So, this is a good time to
Jeff
mention.
looks like he's on a cooking show, doesn't he?
I do. Well,
In a way.
we need to talk about this a little bit. So those taglines sort of let you know the idea that this was. I think this is where Hitchcock got the whole Psycho thing, right? Maybe it happened before this, but don't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can leave the theater. Don't tell anybody about the ending. All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there really is a surprising ending here, and you really need to watch this movie before you listen to the podcast, because we're going to spoil it, because we want to get into the details. So before we go any further, please look this up and go watch it. It's available, I know right now, on HBO Max. It's available on Classic Horror Movie Channel, and some other places. So you should be able to find it. All right, here we go. Spoiling away. Let's go to first impressions. And since this is Daphne's pick, why did you pick this, Daphne? And what are your...
Yeah, why?
When did you first see this?
Well, the first time I saw it was just a few weeks ago, but it's something I've wanted to see for a long time and just never got around to it. My first impression is that it's awesome. I thought it was fantastic. It was beautiful, and I loved the characters. The female characters are so awesome and strong, and I think it's, like I said, it's beautiful. I think the shots are beautiful. I don't know. I just think it's great. And then watching it and kind of doing some research and learning about kind of its connection with Hitchcock, and it was just really interesting, historically. And I don't know. My impression was that I really liked it, and I'm excited to talk with you guys about it. And I wish I would have seen it earlier. And I think everybody should see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good.
All right. Thank you. Chad.
This is the first time I've watched this film. And when I saw it was 2 hours long, I was like, oh my God.
And you flipped out.
Yeah, I flipped out when I saw it was 2 hours and I was going to have to read. So, but...
Because it's a French film and there are subtitles, yes.
Yeah,
it does require reading.
Very French. There was a lot of cursing, so my ears were like burning. A lot of name calling, people getting called bitches and kicking the wicker basket in the ass when you put it in the back of the truck.
Nobody said pardon my French.
Nobody said that. But no, I was the first time I watched it. It was very it made me angry at the beginning, because I mean, this guy, is it pronounced Michelle or Michael?
Michelle.
Michelle was just the biggest a-hole, imaginable, and he treated his wife horribly, and he was smacking her around and stuff like that. And I was like, man, will they hurry up and kill this dude? But it was so a lot of that was kind of getting on my nerves a little bit because I hate that kind of stuff. But as the movie went on and you got more into the story and everything and some of the characters, it turned out to be a really good one. I felt like we're spoiling now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
People, if you haven't switched, you better switch now and watch the movie.
Okay. When they killed him, I felt like it turned into a comedy. The stuff they were having to go through to get this body back to this house, and they're leaving breadcrumbs all over the place for people to find. And then the people upstairs are like, oh, she's turning the bath on at 12:45. And it's just like, oh, look, they're leaving. I can see them through the window. It was like they didn't plan this very well, So it felt like it was just turning into this Weekend at Bernie's thing where they were trying to get this dead body back to the house. But it turned out to be really good. The twist I did not see coming. I have to admit it's not what I thought it was gonna be. And so it had a really good twist at the end, and it paid everything off. And that was the other thing too. I was going, where's the horror in this? This isn't a horror movie. And then the end, it was like, yeah, this is a horror movie. So, I liked it a lot. I really did. It's a good pick by Daphne, and it feels like a very important film that, I think everybody should see it as well. So, and I'm sure it is an important film, but I don't think a lot of people know about it. But I loved it.
Cool. Whitney, how about you?
Well, I didn't exactly get angry that it was 2 hours, but I will say that I had to warm up to it. Like I wasn't really too excited about like the first build up of characters and scenes for like the first 35 to 40 minutes. But then like that's when things really start to get good. So like I know some people like I can be patient, and I was hanging in there. I'm like, okay, so but the thing is the sentiments that Chad has are some of mine. Like I said, not angry, but it was just like some of the pacing was a little slow, but I'm like, okay, this could be worth it. This could be worth it. And sure enough, like as things started to build up, the characters, yes, I was so mad about the character Michelle, but otherwise,
let the hate flow through you.
Yes, I wasn't like angry about the movie really, but the character himself, I'm like, oh my gosh, come on, like what's the deal, like what's the relationships here that he has with his wife, and then this other individual, the oh shoot, I can't remember her name right now. The one that's
Nicole?
Nicole?
Yes, Nicole. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I don't want to spoil things either, but I was very shocked towards the end as well. And yeah, like Chad said, this seems like to be an important story because of how things could be for storytelling in general, like development of characters, and how like you think one could be deceiving, but others are like one step ahead of another. So you have to kind of keep that in mind when you're watching certain films. And sometimes you're not sure if you can be one step ahead of a character or not. So that's hard. But yeah, this was it's sort of, I guess, what I would call a slow burn in a way up to like the first 40 minutes or so, but just hang in there, it gets good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I think I saw it, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so ago for the first time, even though I was aware of it for a long time as something that was talked of, you know, as being a kind of a landmark film. And I love almost everything about it. I think the acting is great. I love the way the story unfolds, and it's a because of what we talked about in the unexpected ending. It's a lot of fun to watch the second time through and look at things knowing what's really going on and seeing in a totally different light. So yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of it. And yeah, it's got some terrifying scenes at the end because you really don't know what's going on. It's just, you know, anyway, we'll get into that in a little more detail later. But I'm glad you picked this. You picked it a while ago before Whitney went on sabbatical for life. And then we started having guest hosts and let them pick it. So I was disappointed when you didn't pick it when we first came back. So I'm glad you did now. All right. So let's take a look at some stuff here before we get into the details. So we know we love posters. I like this poster a lot. Mm-hmm. I can't really tell you why. I'm not a big fan of green, but the silhouette of the body and that swimming pool, which, I mean, the movie's in black and white, but that swimming pool is green. You just know it. I mean, it's disgusting at this school. And here's an Italian.
Diabolique.
Yes.
I'm pretty good at this stuff.
You are very good at this stuff.
Thank you. I've been practicing a little bit. Like
and
right now.
I kind of like that one too. It's we have the stern Simone Signore in the background.
It's funny how, like, the first one you had, that was just the green. I was kind of just thinking like what, but that all has the character of it where it's just kind of like this. Maybe it's part of the slow burn or something. It just kind of is just kind of there. The colors are more kind of like subdued and
looks like a wine bottle label.
Yeah, it does look like a wine bottle label, but it's just kind of like, it's, when I think about this picture, I imagine like it being like lots of red or something, and it's like, but one of the things that's cool about this picture is it totally deserved lots of red, but it deserves this too, because there's definitely this kind of part of the slow burn, the kind of just not really knowing what's going on kind of vibe to it.
The silhouette in the top right corner there, is that supposed to be Nicole in the back and with her arm around what was her name? Christina?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, because it definitely looks like Nicole, but you're right, her arm is kind of up.
Yeah, around.
That is odd. Yeah.
But yeah, and then to go on, the wicker basket plays a huge part in the movie, and then this sort of vacant outline of a body, which really is kind of interesting. Anyway, and again, I like this one. I don't know if it's just the colors and the layout, or
it has an old pulp cover.
Definitely.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yep. Totally, with Christina running down the hall, this like delicate little creature,
and then true crime story.
Yeah, the stern woman in the front. Yeah, stern Nicole.
And then the German one, which is
this looks like a newspaper ad.
Dark
for whiskey.
For whiskey, yeah. I just want to poke him in the eyeballs.
He does deserve that, doesn't he? And another French one. I think this was a re-release version, which is a kind of tells you a lot about.
I like all the scenes with the women together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe this is the Criterion cover for the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is the Criterion cover for the Blu-ray.
I love this one.
Yeah, this one's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Looks like Hellboy trying to drown Frankenstein.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking it might be Boris Badenov. But yeah, Frankenstein would be better.
Lift me up, Moose.
Anyway, lots of different posters, and there's many more. So Henri-Georges Clouzot. So he is fairly well known. Well, one of the things is I put this shot in here of he and Vera. So Vera, who plays Nicole, is his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Christina.
Eating like, yeah, Christina is eating suckers in bed. Which I don't know. I just liked it.
She's so beautiful, and he looks like he just ate a family of 5.
I know. His hair is kind of tousled. Well, you know, he did some sort of what I would call sort of sociopathic things on this movie that we could talk about here in a bit. But Le Corbeau is a kind of a famous movie he did in the 40s that both the Germans and the French refused to show it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it offended them both, which to me makes it worth watching.
That makes me want to see it.
Yeah.
It does. And I believe, let me quickly double check here. The bottom one is, I think the English title is Wages of Fear.
Le Solaire de la Pure.
Which I did see was available. Yeah, The Wages of Fear from 1953. And it's about, you may recognize this plot, but truckers trying to get a load of nitroglycerin over the mountains.
Oh, Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, The Sorcerer is the American remake, the William Friedkin movie.
Yeah.
Like late 70s. So I want to see this. So, and he didn't make a whole lot of movies. He's got a bunch as a writer, but as a director, he has 22 listed. But this had everybody's envy, apparently. So what about anything about the directing that stood out for you? Or
I thought, I don't know if, because I feel like there was definitely good. I feel like the cinematographer was a well-known person too, or I don't know, maybe I'm imagining it, but I thought the different shots were beautiful, and I really like this movie. I can't pick out anything specifically that I could point to as a director, but that might be my own ignorance about what the role is. But I liked a lot of the shots. I liked the pacing. I know it was slow, it was slow burn, but I like slow burns. I like the just kind of some of the movement, like especially with the kids running around, how things kind of changed with the movement of the kids sometimes, some of the shots. And I loved the black and white with the shadows and the long hallways and stuff like that. Yeah.
Just to interject, the cinematographer is Armand Thirard, who was also the cinematographer on The Wages of Fear for Clouzot. So, yeah. Anybody else?
I just thought it was the direction was really good. I mean, there were long stretches of dialogue between some of the characters, and that's a hard thing to pull off. And they all seem to, I don't know, these characters felt real. They felt, especially Christina's reaction to being an abused person. I mean, where he comes back and he whispers in her ear, and she thinks, well, maybe it'll be okay. But, but he's like trying to sweet talk her into whatever. Then she spills whiskey on him and he smacks her around a little bit. And then she's ready to pour him about 5 or 6 glasses of that stuff. It was little touches like that made it feel real. Made the characters feel real to me. She acted very much like a person who has been abused, and physically abused and mentally abused as well.
Yeah, the chemistry. I mean, having the characters work together, having the actors work together. I mean, it was definitely something believable. So the choice in pairing, some of the people together, especially the things that you think you're not so sure of, like Nicole with that wicker basket, and with the wife, like getting certain things together and saying certain things to each other that you think that you don't know what's going to play a part in certain events later. Like the conversation when she says to the wife, like, she's aware of her like weak heart and all of this sort of thing with her health. And it's of course it's establishing what characters go through and the story a little bit, but you don't think too much. I didn't think too much about it in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Same with me. I didn't realize what part things were playing in the movie until the very end. Especially the basket. I was going, why is she carrying this big basket around the room?
Yeah, there were some things that didn't make it's the one thing I thought about was it seemed like there would have been other ways to accomplish what they were trying to do without this elaborate thing. Of hauling the basket down there, tricking them into going to this other town, drowning them, putting them in the basket, carrying the basket back. I guess that was to have it done outside of the school without prying eyes, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And speaking of Hitchcock, when she got the neighbors to help her pull the basket that had Michelle's body in it down, and they kept finding little things wrong with, let's empty it out and let's get. That's very Hitchcock. That's very Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Something that he would do too. So, what was the old thing with him about the bomb being under the table? You as the audience know, but the characters don't know. That causes tension. So that was some good tension building there.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently he missed acquiring the rights to this novel by 3 hours.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that the authors, who we'll talk about here in a minute, designated Vertigo as for Hitchcock, the novel that Vertigo is based on. So
I didn't know that it was that within that few hours. I knew that he missed it, but wow, 3 hours.
But you can definitely see why. I mean, this is so Hitchcockian, everything in this movie. There are things that people say that can later, like second time around, being completely different things. It's just expertly written, I think.
And also, I have to admit, when I kind of delved a little bit more into the associations with Hitchcock, I was kind of like, so, how much of this was an influence on Psycho and other pictures that we totally associate with Hitchcock. And I'm not trying to take it away from Hitchcock, because I mean, there's some really amazing movies, but I just never kind of thought of things that he maybe perhaps was inspired by. Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, this is a story that obviously Clouzot knew was good and made it with, in his way, and made it very well. And then there's some similarities in other movies by Hitchcock. So it was just kind of interesting for me to kind of see that connection and learn more about that connection. Because Hitchcock is so huge,
Yeah.
So this is probably a good time to say this, because I would assume this was Clouzot's choice. But did you notice the only music is this pounding intro, like dun 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 dun, and then the rest of the movie has no music.
Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Well, so yeah, but see, which also made me wonder. I had always read that Hitchcock in the shower scene in Psycho didn't want music to it. So was he influenced by that? But then when Bernard Herrmann played what he had come up with for it, the Hitchcock went, we're using this. So I wondered if that was influenced by Clouzot at all or not, the desire to not have that scored. But
could be.
I don't know. But it's interesting. I didn't notice that it didn't have music either the first time I watched it. It's like, where's this
we've talked about, and I don't know if this is, since I haven't read the book, I don't know if it's the book or if it was a change, but I really liked, we talked about kind of like a surprise ending or a whodunit. I like the confusion between like a spiritual cause or a criminal cause, and how it plays both sides. You're thinking it's one thing, and then you find out really quickly it's another, but then you find out again, but maybe it is, maybe there's this other part. So I'm speaking about you find out that he's not a ghost, but then you find out that the same kid who told them that they saw the teacher, the headmaster saw Christina. So it's like, so is Christina alive? Is Christina a ghost? Right. So Christina, well, she is, because we saw her die, didn't we? But so I just love that there was a flip even in that, this teeny little thing at the end.
This child is a notorious liar. Poor little Minois, whatever his name was, Minois.
I don't know. We're gonna make him miss his vacation. No, that was the other guy, wasn't it?
He goes, tell us what you saw, and the kid goes, no, it means I'm gonna have to stand in the corner for 6 hours.
Well, yeah, the book is different, and it's different in some key things. Let's talk about that. This comes from a novel.
Look at these two ne'er-do-wells.
The English translation was She Who Was No More. And I'm not going to try the French one. It's got way too many apostrophes and accents in it. And it was their first book. Boileau and however, and the Narcejac. So it was Pierre Boileau and Thomas Narcejac, whose real name was Pierre. There's nothing like having a pseudonym of your pseudonym, I guess. But these two guys got together, started writing these books, and were highly successful. This was their first book. And as we already said, they wrote the novel that Vertigo is based on, and then wrote the screenplay for Eyes Without a Face, which we talked about.
I love Vertigo. So that is very cool that to see this connection between these movies that are all really, really good. I like a lot.
Yeah, these books, you know, they say, I read somewhere that they aren't available in the U.S., but I found them.
I know I found the book for this movie at the library.
I think a publisher picked them up since wherever I read that was written and has done a few of them. But I, you know, you never know how much of the original novel is in there if it comes from the screenplay writers. But I think it's really well written in the reveals and stuff. So one of the things that I liked was, you know, we start out within 10 minutes, right? Within 10 minutes, we know what an ass Michelle is. And we know that Nicole was his mistress. And, well, that's weird. The mistress is helping the wife. And then we see them sitting out by the swimming pool and Christina going, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. So in the first 10 minutes, we get to the point where the two of them are plotting, you know, in some way. But you don't really know for sure what it is until they go on. Anyway.
Jeff, just a little side note. What did you say the novel was? What the name of the novel was?
She Who Was No More.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think there's another version of that title. So
okay.
The Woman
Who Was No More was the one I was thinking of, but maybe I heard you say the other version. That's why I didn't recognize it. Okay.
The Woman Who Was No More. The Fiends. Anyway.
Cool.
It's translated Celle qui en était plus.
It was cool. The two devils or whatever. You think it's talking about the two murderers, but at the end, I felt like they were talking about Michelle and Nicole being the two devils at the very end. I don't know.
As opposed to the two women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right about that poster. I see a different version of that on the Wikipedia page, and there's a cross-hatched figure in front of the one and has her hand on her shoulder. So it is the two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, with the vacant outline of the body. Wow. Just didn't show up in the one that I put up there. Well, let's talk about those leads, because I like that a lot too.
Yeah.
These two were amazing.
Yeah, Vera Clouzot and Simone Signoret were incredible.
I thought they did such an awesome job acting, and I thought that their characters were just really well defined and believable. I love seeing I don't know, that just you were confused about why the mistress is helping the wife, but I can also see and believe that there was an affection between them, and they both knew how horrible Michelle was, and so all that stuff I believed, and I loved seeing this kind of harder female character in Nicole, and I thought they did a really good job kind of showing her background, where she came from, that she went back to her home, and it was not fancy, and I love Christina's character, and I thought the actor played her so well. I love that she couldn't do it, but then she could do it. And I totally went along with her when she was going down that kind of, we can't do this. And then you could see that she was like, yes, I'm going to do this, and she just, within just a few minutes. And even at the end, when she died, I thought that was such an awesome, powerful, I thought she did amazing in her death scene.
Yes, it was good.
Yeah. They were great.
Simone Signoret, or I'll just say Nicole, was she did a great job at you'd have never known.
Mm-mm.
You would have never known because these two had such a close bond. You would think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that nothing can break it. And even when Michelle came to their Nicole's house, and he was fading back, and he goes, "Whose bed is this, yours or hers?" And she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Ours." And he
Mm-hmm.
kind of giggled a little bit, like,
Mm-hmm.
haha, whatever. Showed that these two were close. So that's Nicole's character was just such a snake in the grass, but very convincing. She was convincing that she
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, on
Mm-hmm.
on Christina's side. So that made the ending all that more shocking.
I know.
To me.
I almost didn't believe the ending at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is
Because
BS."
it's like,
And then
no.
you go back and think of everything, and I was like,
And
"Yeah,
you're like,
well, okay.
yeah, I was okay." Yeah.
No, but
So
you guys
just
are
to-
right, though. Just how they interacted, it was sort of what I thought was like almost a trauma bond because of what they have been through with Michelle together. I was very convinced about
Yeah.
you know, the relationship they had developed too.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just to double spoil, since we told people to look, in the book, it's the husband and the mistress are conspiring to kill the wife. And they drown her in a bathtub and make it look like an accident, but things spiral out of control when her body disappears. So it's the same thing, but they switched a couple roles.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in our notes, it says that the movie left out the lesbian love affair between the two women.
Mm-hmm.
So which for 1952 seems advanced to me. I don't know. I'm not a...
Well, it was implied. It was implied, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway.
I'm interested why they made the changes, because it just seems like these writers are probably, you know, really good at the story and stuff. And so, I mean, I like this, the way that it's set up, but it's just interesting that it's so different from the original material.
They do the same thing today in today's movies. They'll switch, because if it's a popular book and everybody knows the ending and that's what they're expecting, sometimes they'll flip it around, like Tom Savini did with the Night of the Living Dead remake. They sort of switched because you know what's going to happen if you saw the original. So just trying to make it still entertaining and sort of, I don't know, mess with people's expectations of what they're thinking is going to happen. Which I like. I think I like this scenario better. It's
I do. I think so too. It's just such a difference, you know.
Well, it added the horror of, rather than killing her, they were trying to scare her to death, or get her sickness to.
And this one, they're trying to drive her mad and then scare her enough to have a heart attack, I guess. But
so it's kind of hard to see. But in that picture at the bottom, in my mind, these two pictures sort of showed the yin and the yang of their relationship. You know, like Nicole is standing behind her, sort of giving her strength to take this action, participate in this plot to kill her husband. But in the bottom picture, they're at odds with each other.
And that's something else I loved
between them. And see what's on the mantle right between them. It's the statue that they.
I that only made the relationship like more realistic to me, because they were, you know, if one of them caved, they're both going down, you know. So it's like if Christina decided she couldn't do it, Nicole was totally screwed. And so I like that there was still that tension between them also, even though they were in it together, that they were depending on each other. I just added more to their relationship and their story to me.
Well, she won, Simone Signoret won an Oscar for Room at the Top in 1958. and was nominated for Ship of Fools in 1965. And then the same, lots of nominations and winners as in BAFTA awards, the British. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway.
I love what they did with the costuming too, with these two characters, like just the clothing and the kind of softness of Christina. And then there's like in the clothes that Nicole wore, they were very sharp and edge, you know, had an edge to them.
High
and
collars.
The collars and everything. And you just definitely, I really liked that. I like that it kind of, like you were saying, the yin yang, or the comparisons between the two of them. I really liked.
Well, and Vera Clouzot, I don't think acted in much of anything except her husband's films. And sort of, I don't know, sadly or ironically, I don't know if that's a proper use of the term, but she died 5 years later of a heart condition.
Oh wow.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe that's part of the reason they put that in the story.
I don't know. She was only in 3 movies, 53, 55, and 57. Wages of Fear, Diabolique, and The Spies.
I know I said it before, but I thought she did so good in the death scene. It's like even when you were just describing her, I was like because she it kind of lasts a little bit, and then she falls down, and her eyes just kind of go blank. And I thought that was really good. I really thought that was
the way they were staring at Michelle, almost,
and how she just went bunk. You know, it's like she slowly went down really softly and then down at the end. It was so. There's something else I was struck by this movie was that it got really dark sometimes. I mean, yes, we're talking about some horrible things, but I feel like, that he, in my opinion, how I perceived it is that he rapes Christina, and just some of the other things that I just feel like were really, really, they went to a really violent, cruel place with a lot of the treatment of Christina. And I don't know. I just felt like, wow, they're not holding anything back. There's no pretending or trying to soften things up. And he's horrible to the children, he's horrible.
Oh, yeah.
He's just, and they don't hold any of that back. And also that he's just so open with it. Like he's just has his mistress as a teacher at the school. Everybody knows about it. I just was really kind of impressed with how that was just all out there and part of the story.
Oh, speaking of the children, like that one boy that claimed that he saw Michelle when he was missing, and then is the same child later who says he saw the wife,
Christina.
Christina. So I'm like, this is.
We knew that at that point he was telling the truth about seeing him. So
he's telling the truth about Christina.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I loved that, and I loved how it was just a little teeny bit at the end of oh, but he's really, you have to believe him, just at the end.
And it cut off at a perfect point, just him headed really toward the corner. And,
right.
And it was good. That was good.
Yeah, with his head down. Yeah. So Paul Maurice.
Jackass.
He is. Now, but this is one of those things where when you watch it in hindsight, because he is a total terrible dick. But watching it in hindsight, I'm thinking, and this doesn't excuse him at all, but some of that stuff, the slapping, and then I took that as rape too. He pushes her out of sight and she screams that he's doing to make sure she follows through on the plan. I think to fake his murder.
to push her,
which is almost,
which is horrible. It's
it's just as bad.
I didn't even think about
worse.
that, to be honest. I didn't even think about that because the
timing of each of those was perfect. Like even at the lunch, when he knows that, or whatever meal they're having, that the people that prepared the meal are like holding their nose because it's the same stinky fish all the time or whatever. They're working up to their departure for the holiday. So he treats her like crap in front of everybody and makes her eat this crap. And what's the word I want? Diminishes her or embarrasses her in front of everybody.
Humiliates her.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch.
All of that stuff just seemed to me, the second time around, I'm going, oh, he's doing this just to make sure he's being especially hard, maybe, or maybe that's just the way he always acted. I don't know.
Well, but you're right. It's like an even bigger dick move to do that.
Yes.
To just push her and make sure that she does this.
He does a good job at it. And this is what I would sort of call the setup. She calls him to tell him that she's getting a divorce and that he's not going to get anything. That's what she thinks. And this is going to motivate him to come down there. And then Nicole is supposedly putting poison in the whiskey.
The whole way Nicole goaded her into answering that phone was brilliantly written.
Right.
So well played. Yeah, so manipulative and
And she tells him she has a lawyer, and then he threatens to go, I'm going to go see the lawyer right now. And so then she, fesses up and says, no, I haven't seen a lawyer yet. But
I love that part at the top there when she was trying to forgive him again, and he was trying to talk his way back in and that kind of thing. And she was like, no. And then when he went to drink, she said, no, don't drink. But then when he slapped her, she was like, here, have 2 more glasses.
Yeah. She starts it.
Yeah. Glasses.
She does. She backs off on pouring it. She just pours a little splash in it, and he's like, "Whoa, what? You forget how to pour or something? Like you got to get more than that." Yeah, that was. I mean, all of that was so well laid out, and there he is lying in the bed. What makes it even more is, later you find out it's all a big fake, but it was still. And here's the drowning. They stick him in the tub, drugged. And you're right, Chad, all the way through this. I'm like, why did they drag him all the way down to this place and then do this stupid stuff so all the people upstairs could notify nothing made sense?
They know the pipes rattle. They know the pipes rattle. They know the drain rattle.
I filled my bath at 10 at night, and I didn't empty it until morning.
I'm sick of these movies with the nosy-ass neighbors.
Yeah. That guy was great. You're ruining my quiz show.
Yeah. Oh, and they were so I don't know, two-faced or whatever. Just like
So Whitney, what did you think of this scene where?
Honestly, it was brilliant. It really actually freaked me out seeing this guy, Michel, like with his eyes rolled back, like that actually terrified me, because I'm watching this through this process. I'm like, where's the horror? What's this tension building up to? What's this? There's a lot of suspicious stuff going on, but what's gonna happen? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is some scary stuff. Like seeing what they do to him. And I don't even know, like, until the end, how the characters are really all towards, the wife and everything. I'm convinced of what's going on with him. Like, oh, he's really gone. He's really dead. And the look on his face, like the eyes rolled back, like I said, that freaked me out big time. I'm watching this in the dark. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, it was great. This was a great scene, especially, and then seeing with the that heavy piece from the mantle, just that Nicole decides to utilize, but you don't see her using it. You just see her like she's in the bathroom with it, and then she comes out to Christina.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. Like, but you have a mental thing that she definitely did it.
Yeah. And then you see
look
the
like a
over the bath.
Big pile of dog poop statue.
Yeah.
It seemed heavy.
Yeah.
It seems heavy.
Well, after it dries, it's.
Well, so afterwards, then they put the body into the wicker basket and drag him outside. And like Chad was saying, the upstairs neighbors who spend all their time looking out the window bitching about him, but then run downstairs to help because she's a landlord, I guess, and are trying to. Oh well, let me go get another thing. We'll move some of the stuff over into the other. Like, yeah, no, not happening. So, drive away, take him back to the school, and then dump him into this stagnant swimming pool that apparently nobody can use, and you can't see the bottom. And then this whole thing develops where she's freaking out the body that's there. Right? I mean, Christina just totally freaks out.
Yeah.
And she can't quit thinking about it. And finally, I don't know, through a series of really weird things with keys and stuff.
Very weird.
Get this guy to drain the pool, and there's no body there, and it's like, oh my God, so that opens up a reason for her to go down to the morgue to identify a drowning victim as her husband, only it's not. And that's where the commissioner, the retired police commissioner, who just apparently sits around on benches waiting for something to do.
Just sits outside the chair.
Like an ambulance chaser.
Anyway. It turns into the French Columbo.
Absolutely.
I swear, I was watching that for a while. I didn't get it at first, and then I went, oh my God, he's Columbo. 15 years before the fact.
Cigar, crumpled, kind of crumpled jacket.
And, the one more thing, and I'm just, she wakes up in the morning and he's sitting in her bedroom.
Yeah. The door, she was open. I just came in.
Anyway, I thought he was great. I loved it. I really do wonder. I should read something about Columbo if they based him on any literary.
I have several Columbo books.
Yeah.
I might go. Maybe I'll go and look. But I know that it was originally a play, and
okay.
So anyway,
Columbo was a play.
Wow. Have a chance.
Yes, come over to Columbo.
And
any of the mystery movies.
Yeah. Anyway, off subject.
Sorry, guys.
Charles Vanel. Well, and of course the Thin Man, but we won't get into that. So we don't know what's going on.
Sitting here going,
I know. Sorry, guys.
This. Well, they.
Whatever you say, Jeff.
People start saying they've seen the school principal, and there's like a room somewhere where they send his dry clean suit there.
Oh yeah, that whole thing was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially when they're saying, "Oh, well, we're missing this suit," and the inspector, somebody shuts the door. There's the suit.
That's right.
Oh, like this one? Well, yeah.
Well,
exactly.
They were running out of running time at that point, so they had to condense a few things.
It was all such Hitchcock type stuff,
Totally. And when they were in that hotel room or rooming house or whatever, and the door opens, and this rotund gentleman comes out.
Yes.
I was like,
What?
oh my God, who's this going to be? You know?
That's
That's
great
crazy.
stuff. So anyway, then finally Christina sees Michelle like in the tub at their house, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And she goes running away, and now the next thing you know, she sees him walking. And his eyes are all glassy, and then there's
Did you
where
see something in my eye?
she slides down, and then he pops his eyes out. And
That eye popping out scene was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was good. Wow.
Again, freaky.
I've seen
Yes.
enough. I'm thinking I walked with a zombie or something, but no, that's.
Just
And
so
then he and Nicole go into a clinch, and now we've got all the money and we can do what we want. And the inspector walks in and goes, "Yeah, in 15 years or so."
Meaning he was there the whole time and he watched this happen. And meanwhile, poor Christina's having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last scene is the little kid saying, "Well, she told me to."
She gave me my slingshot back.
Yeah. She told me to enjoy it or whatever. That was great.
So
good.
I mean, so I jotted down some stuff because I wanted to think, and I think we've kind of talked about it, but I was just this whole thing and watching it with hindsight, the fish meal. Then she makes a comment about how she pays for everything. And then he apparently rapes her, and
Yeah.
the other thing was she seems to be really devout. She's got a little shrine on her dresser, and prays there. So it would be a hard decision for her to make to participate in a murder.
And does she actually confess or doesn't she say something to the?
She tells the inspector, "I killed."
Yeah,
him.
the inspector. Yeah, at some point she does kind of crack.
That was another thing is if she confesses, she tells Nicole she's going to go confess, and that's going to spoil the whole plan. Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's no dead body though, but he knew that. So if there's no dead body, you can't charge for murder.
Right.
And I think the old detective knew that. He knew what was really going on, and he just waited and waited and waited, hiding in dark corners and bedrooms until he could find out.
Watching people sleep.
Yeah.
I've got 40 years of experience watching people sleep.
I've watched people sleep. I've watched them poop. All kinds of stuff to get my man.
Well, even talking with you guys about it, it makes me think of more ways that looking at it with hindsight, stuff that I missed, which makes me only like it more. I mean, all that kind of detail and, what it went into acting and the writing and everything. Good.
It's a great movie.
I don't know what the deal is with Vera Clouzot, but I don't understand. She was an awesome actress. I don't know if she was appearing on stage or anything at the time, but 3 movies that her husband directed, she was incredible.
Yeah, she was great. The whole scene with the fish now, kind of thinking that I could totally believe that he bought cheap fish all the time. So it wasn't like was like he was making it really bad, for her to humiliate her. So I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that was horrible. Making her eat that. Yeah. That horrible fish and then humiliating her in front of everybody.
I don't know who she is, but one of the grounds, the woman, he brings the produce and she's like, "These greens are spoiled. Shut up, you're not paying for it," or something. I don't know. He said something nasty to her. One of the pieces in the trivia, and I don't know if this is, you wonder about this. I should research to see if it's somewhere else. But Alfred Hitchcock considered Clouzot a very serious rival for the title of Master of Suspense, and Psycho was put into production because Hitchcock specifically intended to outdo Diabolique.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, no, there's no reference for it. So
yeah. There is you can probably find it on YouTube also, but I know that I saw it on the Criterion channel where they have a couple people kind of going over the shower scene and kind of comparing, not necessarily like super comparing, but kind of talking about how you could see some similarities between the bathtub scene with Michelle and the shower scene with Janet Leigh. So it was just interesting that people, I mean, like, yeah, I don't know if any of this is true, but it is interesting to talk about kind of what maybe was an influence or.
Well, yeah. And then I talked about Clouzot being kind of a nasty at times. Apparently, Simone Signoret signed a contract that paid her 8 weeks' salary, but it didn't specify the amount of work. So when the shooting ran to 16 weeks, he didn't pay her anymore.
For the extra.
Yeah, here's the contract. And so she was mad about that. And so there was fights about that. And then Vera would get upset with
the slapping.
And yeah, well, anyway.
I see in the notes that you have the car. That was a cute little car.
It was.
Wasn't it? I was so hard trying to like figure out the just the size compared to some of the other some of the buildings and stuff, because it looks so tiny, almost like a clown car, but I didn't know if it really was like a clown car.
Ice cream truck.
Yeah. Well,
I needed something for scale because I was just like, oh my god, that's a cool car.
Like a corrugated hood and sides too, which is kind of
to keep the zombies out.
Yeah.
What did you say? To keep the zombies out.
Yeah. There is an internet database for cars and vehicles in movies. You look up a movie and there'll be pictures of all the different cars and what make and model they were. There's also one for weapons. It's ridiculous.
Well, I like that your note. I think your note says it's a Citroen. I never know how to pronounce this. It's Citroen or Citroen.
Yeah,
Citroen. So that's I've only seen like kind of like a very specific shape for that car. So I haven't.
Yeah, I've seen the car. I haven't.
Before.
Didn't know about the truck. So, anyway, okay. So, any final thoughts about this?
It's a good movie. It really is. It has a good twist. I would highly recommend it. If you're not a fan of slow burns, I don't know if I would, but it has a good payoff at the end, and it's good. I liked it.
I second that.
Yeah,
stick with it.
I thirds it. But I like slow burns, but I understand it. It is it is a slow burn, but it's nice to look at.
Well,
it's beautiful to look at.
Yeah,
one of the scenes I loved how the intro scene was. I mean, the intro scene was the pool, right? The pool water when the opening credits are rolling. I thought that was the pool water, the kind of stagnant pool water, which I thought was really could
have been. I'd have to go back and see.
We're staring at the water.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it.
Because I fast forwarded right through the first credits.
Knock off 5 minutes. That's if we can.
And the 1996 remake, starring Sharon Stone and Isabella Adjani, Chaz Palminteri, and Kathy Bates, has another different twist to it. So,
was it a good movie? The remake?
It's not the original, but once I enjoyed the hell out of it when Kathy Bates got into it.
Yeah,
it became much better.
You kind of have to do it every time because what's the point of everybody knowing the twist and you go in and you do the same twist?
Right.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, Gus Van Sant, in your Psycho remake?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Jeff, go ahead.
apparently there was another one called Reflections of Murder in 1974, directed by John Badham and starring Tuesday Weld, Joan Hackett, and Sam Waterston. Okay,
Tuesday Weld.
So sorry, Daphne.
I was totally not related to this film. I was just going to say I liked the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
I really liked it a lot, the Savini one. So I get it. You got to change stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got anything else.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. Sorry.
Yes, please,
I was just looking at your other TV versions of the novel. There was a Swiss one, but then The House of Secrets, 1993, directed by Mimi Leder and starring Melissa Gilbert, Bruce Boxleitner. They
were married, weren't they?
Were they? They might have been. All I know that she didn't date some other guy, but wow, that's interesting. I'd like to see Melissa Gilbert and Bruce Boxleitner in a version of this. Kate Vernon and Michael Boatman. Not really. I'm not going to try really hard, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
We knew you weren't going to try.
Just for the record, but
Spouse Bruce Boxleitner from 95 to 2011. Anyway, okay.
Chad's writing it down in his little book.
I know. In his book of stuff he doesn't care about. So that's it. That's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up is one chosen by Whitney. What are we doing, Whitney?
The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Yay.
Something epic.
Ray Harryhausen.
Yes.
Do I have to read for this one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
I'm in.
You can put subtitles on if you want.
Only if you want.
And I didn't pull together feedback for this one, but we'll have some for next week. So please send your feedback. Make comments to the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. We love them. We read them. And we know that we have the smartest fans out there. So please give us your input or even ideas or suggestions for other movies. Or you can send emails to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or check us out in the Gruesome Magazine's HNR and DOH podcast Facebook group.
And if you do snail mail, just slip a 10 in the envelope. You know.
Just to make sure Chad responds. Right? No?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right.
For $10, I'll respond all day long.
Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic eras. Only decades of horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.